Hi guys, it's Nick from Modality Club, and this is a special extra video just to share something really exciting that I've had the opportunity to do on my day off. So you may have heard me talk about Ollie, who's the guy from the Tea Guru. That's where we're sourcing our first 2 months worth of teas from, and I get lots of my teas from these days. And he's given me something quite special as a nice little treat. He's given me 2 little samples, 1 and 2, of a tea that he's thinking of getting in. So tea sellers will typically, if they say, well, I want to get, I don't know, an Oriental Beauty tea or a Dan Cong Oolong or an Iron Buddha, a Thai Guan Yin, whatever the tea type is, they'll then get samples from different sellers, compare and contrast. Obviously price comes into it, and decide which one they want to sell on their website or wherever. And so Ollie's shared 2 of the different samples that he's got for the next Cape Jasmine Dan Cong Oolong. So I've said to you that Dan Cong Oolongs are one of my favourite kinds of tea, and hopefully we're going to try one of those in 3 or 4 months down the line of the tea club. And in the introductory video, in fact, I was drinking his current Cape Jasmine Dan Cong Oolong. And Dan Cong Oolongs have got this incredible aromatic quality, lots of incredible floral or fruity notes, depending on which. So there's lots of different subtypes from different villages in the mountains in the north of Guangdong province in South China. That's Canton province. So the most famous one is Milanjiang, which means honey orchid aroma, and that's kind of a classic flavour profile in some teas. There's Onasanthamus, which is a kind of flower. I've got some that's not so nice really, but there's a very famous one called duck shit aroma oolong, which is obviously does quite well with its naming there, that people in the West are like, oh yeah, I think I want to try that. I half think it might taste awful, but with a name like that, I've got to give it a go. But this is a different one called Cape Jasmine. And so you can see I've got my 2 gaiwans here, because I'm doing Gong Fu style. And so on the in the green gaiwan is sample number 1, and in the white gaiwan is sample number 2. So I'm trying to work out whether will be left or right when you look at this video. It's my left is number 1 and number 2 is my right. So I've already washed them. So I've rinsed the leaves, and I tried that, and then I've steeped first the next time. So that's the first proper steep, and so I'm just going to try these 2 teas. So this is sample number 1. And this is number 2. So they're quite similar really, aren't they? Kind of a light golden colour. And so cheers, here's to number 1. There's not a lot of aroma coming off this one, but it's quite pleasant. It's got a bit of a roasty characteristic to it. It's nice, but what Ollie said about the last one he sold was it had this very kind of beautiful jasmine floral aroma, but then on the palate you got more this tangerine citrus flavour, and the last one, the one that I've got, really tasted like that, tasted really fabulous. And that one doesn't taste as good, to be honest. All the flavours are really blunted. So this is sample number 2. So here you go, you're getting that floral jasmine aroma, and actually there's a bit of the kind of tangerine-y, fruity sweetness on the nose. That's really lovely. And on the palate it explodes with really full-on tangerine. Nice little roast edge going on there, really nice. This is just streets ahead of number 1. I can't quite believe they look so similar if you looked at the leaves, but the taste profile is just very, very different. I slightly worry that number 2 will also cost lots more money. I'm just going to pour these samples away and we're going to brew again. So I'm just doing flash brews for this. So we've got a 10-second brews. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm just doing them one at a time. Nice high pour, a bit messy. I normally use a strainer, but for the video I've taken the strainer out. So I've lost a couple of leaves in there, haven't I? But nothing too much. Maybe I should use the strainer for the second one. So here we go. So I'm deliberately using 2 Gaiwans of a very similar capacity, about 150 mils for both of these. So there's nice lovely green one, which I said before is my favourite Gaiwan, comes from Mayleaf Tea House, and the white one was one from Canton Tea Company, which is a company I used to buy loads of stuff from. Really great company, great quality to price ratio, and has some really fantastic teas on there, and I really learnt a lot from buying from their website and reading their kind of tea school stuff on their website. Unfortunately, I think they've struggled to make selling high-end tea to a British audience really kind of work as a business, so they've more gone to selling to restaurants and hotels now, which, you know, fair play, you've got to do what you've got to do, but it's kind of our loss a little bit. So here we are, this is steep 2, and so maybe slightly darker colour. What do you think? So let's try the number 1 again, see if it's improving with the second steep. So you might have seen I'm only steeping these for 10 seconds. So these are probably going to go 6-8 steeps, I reckon. So 4 grams of leaf, it's quite a lot of leaf. I'm not really filling these up properly, maybe 100-120 mils Gaiwans. So it's going to go a long time, this. And actually this is looking thicker, it's looking a bit darker. I'm not quite sure if there's any more going on here really. Oh, okay. So there is quite a roast characteristic to this, which is quite nice. So Dan Kong Oolongs are charcoal roasted, sometimes for 24 hours, and that gives you these kind of toasty, slightly kind of browner notes, and that tends to happen. You get those more in the early steeps, and then that will kind of drift off. Now I slightly worry that I could be confabulating the teas in my tasting, because one of the amazing things about these tea flavours is they can just persist and go on and on. But there's now an incredible lingering sweetness that I'm now getting off this sample number 1. I'm not getting any tangerine really. I didn't really get any jasmine. You know, it's pleasant. Well, there's a bit of tangerine, but it's not making me think I'd ever buy that sample. Oh, wow. Oh, this is amazing. It's just, the tangerine just absolutely nails it. It's a really full-on yummy flavour. It's sweet, it's citrus, it's aromatic, and it's a kind of just fills your mouth, and I can still taste it now in my mouth. And there is still that kind of underlying roasty flavour, which I really like, just kind of in the background there. Another thing you can do when you're sampling, when you're drinking teas or anything, so it's a common thing to do with brandy, is that after you've sipped it, You then exhale through your mouth. So, sorry, exhale with your mouth closed, and so you're exhaling through your nose, and so then you're pushing all those flavour compounds back through your nasal passages and back out. And as I do that, I'm smelling even more of those kind of floral, jasmine-y flavours with that kind of citrus edge. And I think it is tangerine. I think is a good word for it, because it's not sour, it's not bitter like a lemon or a grapefruit, but it's not quite orangey. It's kind of lacking some of that tartness that you might expect with many orangey type fruits. So I think tangerine does nail it really. So I'm going to go another couple of rounds with this, but I think it's pretty clear to me that sample number 2, which looks like this now, is the better tea. Oops, there you go, finally gets in focus. So that's the better tea, I think. Really amazing flavour profile. And just to show you the other leaf, just for comparison, I'm not sure if I can get my phone to necessarily take that into focus, but I guess it's a slightly kind of more verdant olive green in the in sample 2, which is my preferred sample. There's a few kind of whitish speckled bits on some of the leaves of number 1, which I don't know, I can't claim to be an expert in this kind of stuff, but I'm not really sure if you can see that, but it just looks a bit like it maybe hasn't been, it's not as uniform, the colour, maybe it hasn't been processed quite so well, with its the oxidation, the rolling and so forth. So it's okay, but for me number 2 is just streets ahead. But I hope that video has just given you a slightly different insight into how you might think about teas, and clearly there's a whole process that tea vendors go through trying to sample different teas. So enjoy. Take care guys, bye.